Hi, John Monroe here with my friend Nancy Teray. We are heading out to Wolverhampton today as part of a Better Streets for Birmingham kind of investigation into cycling and walking infrastructure in the kind of greater, I guess, West Midlands region. And this is the second trip that we've done. Nancy, you were on the trip with us when we went to Leicester a few months ago. Maybe you want to say a word about how that was?
Yeah, it was great. It was really nice to have a look at the infrastructure, experience the bike parking as well. That was really cool. And yeah, it was really nice to see exactly how many bike lanes there are and how accessible it is to essentially ride around the city with a good bicycle. So yeah, it was really enjoyable and good weather as well. So hopefully today will be a bit more of the same. Great weather, discovering more of the cycle lanes, the infrastructure, and seeing whether there could be any potential learnings that we could think, Birmingham could potentially implement as well. Or would be nice to implement, because you never know, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said. So we're off to Wolverhampton. We're going to meet a few more of the Better Streets for Birmingham folks out there, as well as Wolverhampton City Councillor Chris Burden, who's going to give us a little bit of a tour, I believe, of the of what they got out there, and exactly for us to get some lessons for what could be possible.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's go. Okay, so here we are in Wolverhampton city centre. Nancy, who you met before. We've got Adam, Chris back there, and Councillor Chris Burden, who is going to show us around a little bit. So Chris, I don't know Wolverhampton very well. Do you want to just give us a little bit of a sense of what we're doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go sort of down our main thoroughfare that's going to be on the city centre improvement plan, which will include new cycling infrastructure, and through what we've done already and where we plan to go with it.
Fantastic. Oh, and special guest just arrived as I was filming, Sam Henry, Wolverhampton's own cycling mayor. Hi Sam, I'm just doing some filming and we're just about to go on a bit of a walking tour with Chris here.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chris. Nice to meet you, nice man.
Okay, let's walk.
So this was the first major phase of the sort of city centre improvements that we've done. And it involved taking a cycling lane out from the ring road, obviously segregating it, keeping it there, keeping it off the road, but maintaining some car access. So when the show's on, that's obviously lowered bollards, raised bollards, no things can go there, so it's a completely safe spill out phase. Because what we've done is we changed this venue from, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's added about 1,000 extra capacity. So extra standing capacity, extra seating capacity. That also meant we wanted to make sure that it's got spill out space and pedestrian space, it's pedestrian priority at the same time. And what we put in the pedestrian priority in, make sure we put the cycle lanes in, so keep it separated from things. But I think the thing that we did with this is where we set the paving standards for Wolverhampton. So I've noticed sort of in Birmingham and other cities, they haven't necessarily set the standards of what they want the material palette to be. And so this is now the definitive material palette for Wolverhampton. All of the pedestrian improvements, all of the cycling improvements are going to follow this scheme of the muted green, so that it's not one of those horrendous bright blue things. Especially when you've got this sort of historical thing to not have that bright blue flash.
Even though you've got the bright blue on the ring.
So that was the West Midlands standard, and we've now convinced them of the Wolverhampton standard.
So what are we going to do? Yeah, Chris, that's a very interesting point, mate. So we've already spent a lot of money on the Wensel Road.
Yeah.
On the blue paint. And this was an argument. Why did we have to spend so much money? Because the paint alone is so expensive.
So the thing is, and I'll sort of get to that when we sort of go into the interventions, massively expensive when you're doing cycling infrastructure. I think the public don't get it. It's because actually most of it gets sapped on road junction improvements. Because actually, if you're going to adjust the road in that way, you have to readjust all of the junctions. That's an incredibly expensive task.
Yeah.
It's not the cycle lane that costs money. It's the junctions, it's the road junctions. So this is all about putting spill out space. I mean, that was our first ever purpose-built town hall in Wolverhampton. So obviously, the French Empire sort of style. And then obviously the second Wolverhampton Council sort of chambers there. And this goes all the way from that side of the ring road, all the way to the other side. So this is effectively maintained some road things, but bisected the city into cycling and pedestrian priority, which moves on to where we're going to get to just down there, and it changes what we're going to do the layout with the city and the way that cars, pedestrians and cyclists move around. So
Okay, so what street is this and what do we have here?
yeah, so we're going down Darlington Street as it connects, and down all the way down to there. This connects to Lichfield Street up there. Fundamentally, this is sort of the cultural equivalent of Corporation Street as it functions in Birmingham, in that Corporation Street has the civic buildings like the courts on it, whereas this goes all the way down to there, up past the civic centre, up where the historical town hall was, and past the art gallery. So it's doing the same space, but it's making sure that actually that is one continuous space. And I think that's coming about in Birmingham now as well, the work they're doing there with the council.
Sorry.
But it's putting that unified palette on that as it goes straight down here, and on it as it goes down there, with the challenge of maintaining bus access as well. That's the massive challenge, because we don't have as much wiggle room as Birmingham has. Obviously your ring road's much bigger, so we don't have that wiggle room. So how can you do that without displacing buses quite far away? So going down to that one lane outbound here, keeping the buses as the priority, but widening that to make sure all these spaces can have actually outside spill out space as well. And we can go and see sort of work starting down there as well.
Excellent. So Chris, when we were in Leicester, one of the things that we noticed was just a kind of, they've made some improvements, but there are improvements ongoing, which is always nice to see. So you've showed us a couple of improvements, but obviously here we have a kind of work in progress. So what's going on here?
Yeah, so absolutely keen, really hammer it down. Actually, these are improvements. This is £19 million of government and West Midlands money that's going into specific improvements on Lichfield Street, Queen Square and Darlington Street. And you can see actually we're using spaces to make sure we're really proud of it, and we're engaging the public in it and saying, actually, this is what we're doing. We believe it's an improvement. This is why. So you can sort of see what's going on here. The curb line's coming out massively, giving more outside spill out space. We're also putting in bi-directional cycle lanes as well. So completely segregated pavement, segregated pavement lines, specific spaces for taxis to park as well, because I think one of the really specific things that you actually face issues with in cities is you put down all this paving, taxis park on it, the paving gets destroyed quite quickly. So actually having the specific drop-up points put into the plan stop that damage from ever occurring. And actually, as you can sort of see over there, the first bricks have started to go in on that new curb line, so separating what we've got there again from that Wolverhampton colour palette, bringing it right down here, and this road will get much smaller. This will be the only bi-directional part of this stretch because it's needed for access to that road. So this bit has to be bi-directional, so it's phase one, and the buses will continue to use this to access from the ring road. The reason why that's happening is otherwise it's a massive diversion for public transport users, and we want to massively encourage public transport use. What we've got going on behind us and further on will be the phase of our city centre living that we're bringing in now as well. They will all be absolutely pedestrian priority. They will bring new public spaces, and actually all of them are going to be named after cycling infrastructure, because this was where at one point, someone told me the percentages, I've forgotten it, an enormous percentage of the UK's bikes were manufactured. So from Sunbeam and all of these other different factories, they were all on these sites. There are about 12 different bicycle foundries as well. So we've got to put that in as the heritage, and they will absolutely be cycling pedestrian focused developments as well.
Super, something to look forward to.
I was just saying to John that this used to be a two-lane car lane.
This road here, Sam?
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh. So how...
A two-way road, and cars were coming up and down, you know, just like a normal road, and it was very on-cycle friendly.
Or pedestrian friendly. I think we have something, I'm looking at something pretty different than that now. So how'd this come about?
Yeah, so I mean, this was funded in the same manner that that one was funded. So Towns Fund money, CRSTS money. Looking at it is practically, it was a two-lane road, then it was a bus lane, and then it took on this iteration, because actually the bus lane wasn't enormously functional in the way that it needed to be. It's now obviously the Wolverhampton sort of palette of there, the soft landscape and the soft planted. This will connect, so this bit that's tarmac here will connect to that scheme that we've just seen there, which is going to be the difference. It's going to make that plus shaped sort of connection across the city centre. That goes all the way down to the ring road on that side as well. Bi-directional cycling does go down to single, but people can use what is fundamentally the carriageway there, so it doesn't really matter that much. But what it's done is it means suddenly we've got room for seating, we've got room for planting, we've got room for lighting that we didn't have before, and we've got room for more trees. So we've got more trees than we ever had before in the city centre. Yeah, so once those trees come out, it'll be much more clear. But there are new, I think it's 13 more trees been planted down there that weren't there before. And crucially, those pubs can now just have outside seating space, and you can see that 2 of them there have already taken it up. and even that one in the shade at the moment is being used.
But they're all allowed it if they want it.
Yeah, they're all allowed it if they want it. But there's 2 pubs and a cafe have taken it up so far.
Yeah.
So if we walk down there, we'll sort of see what it looks like on the way right now.
But I just want to point out something else as we're walking, that one of the most notable things about this is actually audio as much as visual.
Yeah.
It's so quiet, it's so pleasant.
Yeah, and one of the things actually really interesting, so a new bowling alley's opening there. They have specifically cited this change in the traffic arrangements for why they're coming to Wolverhampton. That's their words, they're not my words, I haven't paid them to say it.
Yeah.
No, they have said actually it's a space that kids can be safe outside and they can be safe coming to Wolverhampton and you can trust them. And so that, they have specifically moved to that unit because of the intervention works.
Wow. So now we're at the other end of the pedestrianized kind of city center area that Chris was just showing us, and we're at a junction here where there looks like there's a cycle lane. There's also some car access. Some benches put in over there. A few different things. Chris, you want to give us a bit more of a sense of what we're looking at here?
Yes, we see that reopen to a bi-directional cycle lane which closes the other end of the ring road. So we go from one side over there for the Molyneux all the way over there to the old BT infrastructure. This part here is actually really important because that is going to be our latest residential area. We're hoping to get it off the ground this year, which will be well over 300 housing units, and they will all be built to be sustainable, and they're actually going to bring a massive open square into actual use. We'll do a quick walk past it in a second. We won't linger too long there because until it's built, it's just an open space, but it'll be a main square for development. So it's actually really rare to get a civic space in a new development. We're going to be able to do it there. And as you can see, obviously the new trees have started setting in here as well. Yeah. Yeah.
So Chris, this is a huge open space, and then obviously there's probably a lot more open space on this side of this wall. So what's all this?
Yeah, so this is exactly what you say. It's a huge open space. It used to be the market. The market's moved up there. We'll have a look at it in a minute. But this used to be the market, hence why it's an open space with no trees. So we don't have any CGI behind us at the moment because they've recently released. But this is going to be our Smithgate development, 300 plus new apartments just on this site alone. All of them opening up onto here with ground floor retail, with interventions on this site to make it a real civic square. At the moment, it's really useful. We have our Pride Festival here, we had our Urban Sports Festival here, where we had people come up from Marseille and do a skateboarding and scooter and BMX sort of competition. We had that on this square, but actually this is going to be about making this a proper square with residential facing this way, residential facing this way, ground floor units, and putting proper interventions to bring some greenery onto this space as well. And that's the first phase, and that will stretch this building first, and it will start stretching that way all the way along there.
Wow. Okay, I have a question for you. Numerous cities, and I believe Birmingham is one, have parking minimums. If you have a certain amount of residences, then you have to have a corresponding certain amount of car spaces. Where's everybody going to park?
Yeah, so planning in Wolverhampton, obviously, and planning everywhere is a flexible conversation. What you've got to do is weigh up, are the people here going to be working, living, walking, cycling here, and getting the train and the bus as their main provision? Probably. So absolutely, it's appropriate to have parking minimums in developments where it's appropriate to have them. On developments like this, it might be less appropriate to have those parking minimums and more appropriate to maximise the amount of people and, crucially, the ground floor retail. People want to come to cities for things to do. We need the spaces for those businesses to exist. And so it takes that balance of, what are you going to have the minimum on here? Are we going to use that minimum there, or for commercial space? So with this kind of one, when it's going to have access to train, tram, bus, cycling and pedestrian infrastructure, we can afford to have less parking here and have that parking on the development out of the city centre.
I think that's music to our ears.
I'm going to ask, how are these spaces going to be affected by the new builds? Because naturally I know that with new builds, sometimes there's a requirement to put in new shops, new infrastructure, new restaurants to make it more appealing for the residents outside of, you know, travel. So is there any plans for that as well here? Or in these spaces, or?
Yeah, so if we look at it, obviously gentrification and that kind of concept, it's a difficult conversation, but it's a really important conversation that we have,
yeah.
If we're really honest. If we look at basically every scheme we're going to see today is on brownfield sites, so there is no current population on the site. So what it's going to do is bring that density of people. And actually, they're going to work, they're going to want to go to these convenience stores, they want to go to these pubs, but also it's going to get that critical mass to support other businesses as well. Businesses that maybe wouldn't be sustainable at the moment in Wolverhampton will have that critical mass. So if there's 300 flats here, let's say each one of them has 1.5 people living in it, 450 people. If on a Saturday night, 10% of them fancy a pint, that's a pub full. And once you've got a pub full, you need another pub. And once you've got 2 pubs full, you start needing different offers. Do you need a restaurant? Do you need a pub? Do you need a fancy pub? Do you need a brewery? And it starts to build that ecosystem. It's not just about displacing things or bringing new things in. It's building a resilient ecosystem that serves everyone. And I think that actually designs like this have that in mind to make sure we maximise the positive consequences without bringing any negative consequences, because that is a lot of new people to put in a new space, and that's not lost on us.
So specifically, will this be factoring a percentage, not all, percentage of the homes? Will they be classed as affordable?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. It's not. Sorry. It will 100% include affordable homes. That'll look different. So in our one on the canal side, that'll be the 20% limit. This will meet the affordable thresholds for the West Midlands Combined Authority and the City Council. So absolutely, and obviously affordable is a relative measure. Yeah. So it takes the affordability against what is the current rental value or sale value in the area. And so obviously in Wolverhampton, that'll be quite competitive.
So Chris, this looks like some kind of tram stop, but I'm not sure what. Fill us in.
Yeah, so more importantly on this site is we're bringing our college into the city centre. So our college at the moment is out in the middle of nowhere. It's in just off the Tetnall Road. This is about bringing it into the city centre, and it'll be the only college in the region with a tram stop, a train station and a bus interchange with it. So it's actually going to revolutionise. Everyone in Wolverhampton is now going to be within a 15-minute bus ride of here. Pretty much everyone in Wolverhampton is going to be within a 45-minute walk of this building. So it brings forward a massive amount of people who could actually now come to this college. It actually blasts the catchment radius all the way up to Stafford, down to West Bromwich, and actually within the hour well into Birmingham as well. So it actually is a massive change for the college, and they're going to be bringing the academic credentials here, but also those credentials on Green Tech and Future Tech as well. And when the Dudley extension opens on the Metro, we'll be seeing these rails come back into action, and we're going to be seeing that train, bus, tram, our bus stations just down there, and our railway stations just down there, all in one go, in one place for the students that are going to be coming here. So that's going to be 4,500 students a week in here who previously had to drive, get a taxi, or get 3 buses to get to the one out by Tetnall, and now going to be massively in the city centre.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah, good story.
Thank you, Chris. And that just makes me think of the University of Birmingham, which has bus access, a train station, and far too much parking. So for you to be thinking about how that's going to look here is also quite inspiring for that example. And maybe the University of Birmingham has something to learn from what you're doing here as well. But let me ask.
Hey Chris, so we were speaking not that long ago about the culture wars of today. So I imagine with all these improvements, which are obviously great, but you must have come across some opposition at some point. That's something we come across quite regularly in Birmingham, and it seems to lead to a bit of a logjam. So how have you guys managed to cope with that?
It's about trying to keep the public on your side as you're doing it.
Yeah.
So learning from past mistakes, I think, is number one. So Victoria Street, we've got to do a different way when we're doing Darlington Street. So that's where we saw it in that really rigid phase. They are doing that phase, completing it, moving on, as opposed to doing a really long single phase where the whole street's up at one time. Massive amount of business engagement, massive amount of public consultation engagement. That's been the former basis, but also having it pay off is really important. So having that pub have the outside space has made that street feel nicer.
Yeah.
And so when people feel that the spaces are getting nicer, or places are getting cleaner, places are getting better, there's a lot more public buy-in, but it's being honest about it as well. It's not saying this won't be disruptive at all. It's saying, no, we know this will be disruptive. We understand that.
Do you have any contact with the media outlets, for example? I mean, I'll give you a good example of this, right? So we've got a new scheme that's being constructed in Bradford Street in Digbeth at the moment.
Sure.
And I've recently read in the Birmingham Post, basically pub owners complaining at the reduced parking provision as a result of that, rather than new opportunities for outdoor seating, for example. So
I think, I don't know about the specific instance in Birmingham, I don't know about that. But I mean, the specific thing is we just keep pumping out through our own sources, through the council, through councillors, through what we can in the local media, saying actually, yes, it's short-term pain, but it is long-term gain. And we have really good faith partners. The art gallery really want this outside space.
Okay.
You know, the Grand Theatre and the Wetherspoons understand that the outside space will be really beneficial in the end. And so keeping people on side, but also just staying strong in your own conviction of saying, actually, we think this will be a benefit. This is why it will be safer. So gunning aspects of safety, I think, are really important.
Yeah.
More outside space, more outside seating, and just being honest and having that conversation keep going.
Sure. Well, Chris, thank you. It's been so nice just to chat with you and be out on the street here and learn some stuff of what you're accomplishing here in Wolverhampton. We really appreciate your time.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.